and welcome to our first family table talk. My name is Heidi Mendenhall, and I'm the executive director with First Five. Hi, Jen. Welcome.
Hey, Heidi, how are you?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here connecting with you and getting to have conversations about, my favorite thing ever, children and families. Um,
Absolutely. So, for
we are
those who don't know who I am, I'm Jennifer Torres. I'm the Enrollment and Recruitment Manager for NCCDI, which is Northern California Child Development Incorporated. I'm also a First Five commissioner, so I work with Heidi on quite a few projects. And I am a mom and I'm a grandma and done it all different ways. Single mom, blended families, all of it. So I've had some experience, and hopefully I can impart some wisdom that I've gained over the last 20. I have to think about how old some of my kids are. Last 26 years of just being a parent, and then also working in the field with families and children. So welcome. We're so glad to see everybody here today.
Yeah. And so we decided to do this to come together, be able to connect with you all, connect with each other, because we know we're all yearning for that opportunity to just, have a cup of coffee, sit down, connect, have a conversation. And we really want to just take the time to think about some of the things that everybody's struggling with. Everybody's kind of, rolling over what's the best, how can we support children, how can we do all the things while we're also navigating all of the extra stressors in our life. And this was Jen's brainchild. She thought, like, well, let's do it. Like, let's come together and have a conversation online. We can invite everybody else into our spaces. This isn't my living room. I don't have this really cool artistic backdrop in my living room, but that's the feel. We want to just be able to have the conversation and join in, chat in, drop some comments, send us emails. We'll put you can see the contact information down below, and ask us questions so we can have meaningful conversations just like you all do with your families and your friends.
Yeah,
so
and
go ahead.
So, do you want to talk about what we thought about what we were going to talk about today? Because there's so many topics to choose from. And so this month, or for this video, we decided to speak on self-care.
Yeah, and it's such a struggle, right? Self-care is always a struggle, and it's so critically important. And especially right now with, we're kind of coming into some holidays, which doesn't matter which holidays, there's always something coming up, right? And there's always lots to think about. And so we wanted to just start off with some myth busting.
So there's three big myths that I've heard families talk about, parents talk about. I've also experienced them myself, and the three big myths about self-care are time, money, and extravagance. And so I will be the first to tell you, you don't have to go big. It's not go big or go home when it comes to self-care. It's not going to the spa, although that is nice, but it's not something that you have to do. When it comes to time, self-care, it only takes a couple of minutes out of your day, whether you do it at the very beginning of the day, the middle of the day, or at the end of the day. If A really great example of this is if you have a child under the age of 1 who's still napping, one of the best pieces of self-care advice I could give you is to take a nap with your child. And it's because a lot of people say, you should get a lot done while they're sleeping. And it's like, you could, but you're going to be so tired trying to take care of your child that it's not going to be worth it. So take a nap and you'll feel refreshed and be able to keep up with the baby. But it doesn't take very long. Yes, Heidi.
Well, I was just listening to a podcast. It was actually, I'm pretty sure it was Brene Brown's Dare to Lead podcast. And she had who was a sleep researcher. And he was naming off all the things that sleep impact in our moods, our weight, our ability to remember things, our production during the day. And he was really actually listing that it's like closer to 10 hours a night that we really need. And that really, kind of took me aback. And the other thing he was talking about was this belief that, like, if we are sleeping less, then we must be better because we're doing more during the day. And really trying to flip that mindset into, no, you're doing better if you take the time to rest, if you take the time to nap or sleep during the day and sleep at night, then
Mm-hmm.
actually going to do better and do more during the day, like, because you're more efficient. Like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah. So taking naps, so it doesn't have to be a nap. It can be 10 minutes of meditation. It can be 10 minutes of reading a book that you've been interested in. A really great local resource is our library. If they don't have it, they will get it for you. So if you have not taken advantage of Tehama County Library, whether you're in Red Bluff, Las Molinas, or Corning, oh man, they have got so much. They even have videos, they have free videos for your kids to watch. They have amazing drive-through story times. They have a radio station. So the library has lots of things that you can access, and you don't even have to leave your house. You can actually stay at home and do it. So amazing stuff, and it takes care of you and it takes care of your family. The other thing that I want to bust out is it doesn't take money to be able to take care of yourself. It really doesn't. It doesn't take money to sit down and be grateful for your family members, no matter how angry you are with them. And there was one night I was so angry with one of my kids, and I said, I can't go to bed being this angry because it's not healthy for me. And I thought about all the things that I loved about her, everything. And you know what? Not only did it calm me down, but it flipped the script in my head about, we think so much about we put on people like they're good people or they're bad people, but really everybody's a good person and they have behavior. And it's the behavior we don't like. So we have to be careful. And so that's what I look at when I do gratitude. It's like being grateful for the people that are in my life, no matter what kind of behaviors they have, whether I agree with them or not. And just being grateful being alive. That's
Oh,
another one, you know. So it doesn't have to cost you any money. Now that doesn't mean that I don't like to go get my hair cut or like to have a spa day or get a massage, but those things are far and few between. And raising my kids, we didn't have the money for those kind of things. And there was a big difference when I would take care of myself so I could take care of my family. And when I didn't, when I would and there's nothing wrong with putting your kids first, but I will tell you right now, you will crash and burn if you do not take care of yourself first because everybody is depending on you. And if you cannot take care of yourself, eventually you're not going to be able to take care of anyone else around you. So self care is so important.
it is. And I think, obviously that what comes to mind is, and put your face mask on before you put on somebody else's, right?
Yes.
If you've
Mm-hmm.
ever been playing with a little one, they don't just say it to everybody. They come over to you and say, now, ma'am, or now, sir, you need to put your mask on before you put your child's on, right? And that's because they know we are so innately programmed to not think about ourselves and just think about our offspring and our children. And it doesn't work. You can't survive, right? You have to save yourself first before you save your children. Otherwise, you're not there to save them. And then I also think about, like, the modeling. Self care is important so that we can support ourselves so that we have more to give. It's also important so we value ourselves, right? Because if we want our children to value themselves and believe that they're important and that the world should treat them a certain way and that they should be proud of who they are and that they have value, then we have to model that by doing those things for ourselves. And if we're not giving ourselves what we need, we're not modeling that we think we're valuable. We're not modeling that we should be treated a certain way. So, really, by filling up your own cup, you're not just making yourself able to help your children, you're actually modeling to them what you want them to do in the future for themselves.
So, Heidi, what's your favorite self care thing? What do you do to take care of yourself?
I do two things, and one is gratitude. I love that, and that's something I've adopted later in life. I wasn't, I didn't learn that young, and so, or as a child. And I think it's great that we're having that conversation with children now about, gratitude journals and being grateful. But I do that, and I do it every morning when I wake up before I get out of bed. I just take a big breath and I think about I'm so grateful for today and whatever that is. And sometimes I say I'm grateful for something that I hope is going to happen. So sometimes it's I am going to feel so grateful when I complete this task at work and I'm able to spend an extra half an hour with my children. Whatever that like hope grateful is, it that helps ground me. And I move my body. I need
Hmm.
a lot of exercise, a lot of movement to feel my best self. And so I schedule that in. I will say no sometimes to going out to dinner because I want to get that 20-minute walk in and then I can join somebody, and that has been really hard for me to say no to people, but it's something that I've learned over the time. If I don't do that, if I don't say no so that I can get that 20-minute walk in, I'm not present. I'm not truly there wherever it was that I said I was going to go. Those are my two.
Right.
What about you?
So my biggest self-care thing is organization. And so I have a really hard time going to bed with a dirty kitchen. So, like, there's pots and pans. And so, one of the things that I learned when my kids were really young was to actually read it in a parenting magazine, was to put your pots and pans down into the sink so you couldn't see them. And then, because my evenings were really busy, I had a lot of kids and trying to get everybody ready for bed, and homework was done, everybody was fed, and whatnot. So having that, like having to do dishes on top of everything else, it was just too much for me. So, but if I don't see it and all my counters are clean, I know I can take care of it in the morning because I always got up before my kids did. And the other one is when your kids are little, like between 0 and 5, this actually works really well. I used to get my daughters ready for school the night before. And so I would actually dress them in the clothes that they were going to wear and then put their socks and shoes somewhere I could find them the next morning. So they're always in the same spot. And
Oh
I
my God.
think that's a it's a big deal, like having just having that routine. So the girls would go to bed in their whatever they were going to wear the next day to school, and then so as soon as we got up in the morning, it was brushing teeth, brushing hair, putting on shoes and socks, and out the door. Because I don't know about your guys' kids, but mine like to sleep in. So when they were little, I let them sleep as long as possible and then get them ready and out the door. And it worked. It worked.
I
Because
had
honestly, they're going to be rumpled. They're going to be all wrinkly, but they're going to come home. I had one of my kids, beautiful ponytails, braids, gorgeous, even in her wrinkly clothes. And I'd pick her up from school, and she'd have all her hair was down on one side, and it was all wonky on the other. And it's like at least they went to school clean and in
yeah,
clean clothes with shoes and socks. So it's and when they're in the 0 to 5, it's really not a big deal.
and they don't
They
mind,
still,
right? They're happy. Actually,
yeah,
my kids always sleep in the clothes from the day before. They don't like pajamas. They don't want the extra step, but I might switch it now and we might sleep in our clothes for the next day. I like that.
yeah. As long as you have their shoes and socks where you can find them the next morning, it's like that. Getting them out of bed and because they don't have that step,
Yeah. Well,
right?
so one less step than that in my house, we don't do socks.
Oh,
My oldest daughter just has a sensory aversion to socks. I've gotten, she went to Sacred Heart for like a couple, maybe a month and a half, and then she would wear socks when it was part of a uniform. But if it's not part of any uniform, we're not wearing socks. So, you know, we have to replace our shoes a little bit more frequently because they don't smell.
mm-hmm.
That honestly was a self-care thing that my husband and I talked about. Like, I'm not going to have this fight every morning. Why start out negative? I don't care if she
Right.
wears socks or not. And so
Yeah,
that we gave
that's
to
a
our.
really big one, is choosing your battles with your kids for when it comes to self care. Because, I will be the first person to tell you that kids have no choice in life. As a child, you control almost everything that they do up until they're about in their teens. And so really choosing the battles that you have with them, whether they wear socks with their shoes or not, it's really not that big a deal. It really isn't. And giving them some choice, it gives you peace of mind and reduces the stress in the house. So, like, I mean, even something as simple as, like, would you like milk or water with dinner? Would you like, give them A and B? And even if it's like, well, I don't want that. So, well, these are the choices you get. And so you can choose this one or you can choose this one, or the choice is none at all.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised. But they get a choice. And that's really the biggest thing, is that they get to choose, and it reduces your stress. And that is actually a piece of self-care, is giving
Yes,
them choice.
it
Yeah.
is. Takes the ownership off. You have, you're giving them what's your approved choices, right? You're not saying have Kool-Aid, right? We want something that's
Mhm.
healthy and that they can have at dinner time, but you're taking the onus off yourself and they're stepping up to take responsibility for their choice.
Yes.
Huge.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny is that we don't think about those things as self-care, but it is. Those are they're like little pieces. I've have you ever heard that, don't sweat the big stuff, or don't sweat the small stuff? And I say that is false. Sweat the small stuff, because those small things add up to big things later. So if you are not sweating it like a choice, like water or milk at dinner, or taking the 10 minutes in the morning to read a book or listen to music, or put your kids in their clothes, and then it's eventually going to build up until you break, because it's not your kids who are going to break first, it's you. And so you need to take care of you in all the small ways, not just the big ways.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Those small, they, all the small things add up, and you don't want to let progress get in the way of this grand perfection, right? Every little bit
Yeah.
matters. Yeah, no, I love that. This has been so wonderful, and it's so nice to just think and reflect. Thank you guys for joining us and being able to process and think about the kinds of things we do for ourselves, from the grand spa days that we can all dream about, to the really meaningful daily things, daily rituals that really become those self-care mechanisms that make you a better human and a better parent, aunt, uncle, family, child care provider, and so many ways. We want to leave you with a few resources. So
Absolutely.
you can look down below where we'll link out many, but one that I want to mention is through NCCDI. It's a community counseling program. One of the
Yes.
I ever gave to myself was saying I'm worth the time and money to have a counselor and go to therapy, and be able to do some self introspection. So that's a huge self care, and it's very affordable. I think it's about $25 a session, and so that's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you for offering that, NCCDI. What resource did you want to mention?
So, nurturing parenting. So, NCCDI does a nurturing parenting program for 0 to 5-year-olds. We currently we have some in class, and we do also offer Zoom. So, if you are uncomfortable coming into the classroom, we can do Zoom. We're not providing childcare right now because of the COVID-19 situation. However, you are more than welcome to do the Zoom if you can't find childcare. So, and you can contact NCCDI at 529-1500, and we will make sure you get to the right person. And then the other resource is actually through School Readiness, and it is the play groups. So they've been doing play groups. How often is that, Heidi? Do you know off the
They
top of your head?
At this moment, I'm pretty sure they're weekly. That might
Okay.
change in the next few months, just as things spread out and get a little busier, and then they'll pick back up the beginning of the year weekly. But they are on Zoom, and so it's an opportunity to come together, and they're not just for the children, they are for the families too. So children get a fun opportunity to see and connect with other kiddos. They get to see familiar faces, and then there's a little bit of child development information and just some parenting expert tips provided by our home visitors as well. So kind of a little double dipping there, and helping you to just take that time to think more deeply about all of the child development information that you can. So also they've been doing giveaways. So if you go, they spin,
Mm,
and if you lands on a name, then they drop off some stuff, some goodies afterwards, which is nice.
right on.
Yeah.
So we'll put the resources down in the comment section for you guys. Make sure you subscribe to our Facebook pages and our Instagrams and YouTube. Mine is at NCCDI and Heidi's is
At First Five Tehama. And so, yes, find us on social media. That's where we give all of our most current information. And let us know what you want to talk about. Throw in some comments. What are the things that you want to hear? Our thoughts, our local resources, and just some time devoted to. So,
all right. So thank you for joining us today.
yes, cheers.